Hello everyone, I'm Marc Guberti, the teenager entrepreneur, and in this video, we are going to talk about 15 ways to get more public speaking gigs. Now, if only this thing was plugged in. So, public speaking is something that a lot of people are afraid of because you're literally putting yourself in front of this giant audience and they're expecting you to deliver. So, that's going to be a fear that will be addressed in another video, but for the person who wants to get in front of that stage, wants to get these speaking gigs, there are 15 ways to increase the amount of gigs that you get. So the best thing to do in a video like this is to go and start with the very basic thing, which is to have a speaker video. Having a video roll of you speaking at different events is going to really help you out with getting speaking engagements, because when you send out the pitches and you have this video, what's going to happen is people who are organizing the event are going to see this and they're going to realize that you have spoken in all these different places, you have experience, and then that's going to result in these people saying, come speak at our event. But you may be wondering, I haven't spoken at any events, or I have not recorded any of my prior speaking gigs. So what do you do there when you don't have anything pre-recorded or you just haven't gotten the gig yet? Well, what you can do is you could talk in videos just like this one and use that as your speaker role. You don't have to be in this giant auditorium to be a speaker or to be a good speaker. You just have to have expertise and be able to deliver it to your audience. So doing a video just like this one of you speaking and showing people that you are able to speak to the audience, that's what you have to do within these speaker videos. Now, of course, you have to be able to back that up with value and be able to actually speak if a speaking gig does come to you. So if you go down the route of creating a speaking video based on your prior videos of you speaking to your audience, it's going to show people that you are able to speak on this topic even though you don't have that giant auditorium background quite yet. You can very well have that if you get enough speaking gigs, but for now, it's just going to show people that you have the expertise. You want to highlight that you have expertise, and as you get more speaking gigs, you'll be able to have that auditorium background to indicate speaking experience later on. So a lot about getting these speaking gigs comes down to research, which is why the second thing is we're going to go into Google and we're going to search call for speakers and then insert your niche. So for me, I'm looking to get more social media gigs, so I would search for something like social media call for speakers. And what happens is Google will bring up a bunch of pages in which someone has a call for speakers, but since you specified social media, what's going to happen is you are going to specifically get search results of people who are looking for social media speakers to speak at their social media event. So just searching call for speakers into Google is going to give you results, and then at that point you contact these people. The third way to get more speaking gigs is to go to more events. This is a very underrated way of getting more speaking gigs, and people think it might be annoying to go from one place to the other because we have computers, we want to do this at home, but there are moments where you gotta make that face-to-face interaction. I've made several face-to-face interactions by going to several events, and it was the difference between a sale and no sale, getting a lot of advice and not getting a lot of advice. So the connections that you are able to make at these events can pay great dividends later on. And when you're going to an event, pay special attention to who the event organizer is, because chances are this person is going to organize more events in the future. And if you get on that person's good side and you show your expertise in a good conversation with that person, you know, without trying to sound too smart, just focus on making a new friend, then that person may remember you when the call for speakers comes and that event organizer is looking for one extra speaker to fill in a certain spot. So the fourth way to land more speaking gigs is to go on LinkedIn and search for event organizers. So if you put in event organizer, a bunch of event organizers are going to come up. And you want to connect with the people who have organized events within your niche and build a relationship with these people. Pitch yourself as a speaker later on, but you want to build a relationship, let them know about your expertise, and then when that event comes by, they have to organize it again, they have to think who's gonna speak, who's gonna come in from where. That's when they're going to remember you, and you are going to end up speaking at their event. The fifth way to get more speaking gigs is to build relationships with other speakers. And this comes from both building relationships online and going to events and building relationships that way. In my experience, you always get a stronger relationship when you meet face to face. But online, you're able to interact with more people. The New Yorker can interact with the person in California. So there are multiple benefits to both approaches. So you want to build relationships with speakers, because when they get chosen to speak at an event and the event organizer is talking to the speaker and it's like, I'm looking for more speakers. Can you please recommend a speaker who would be good for this part? That's when the person thinks, oh, well, I know this person. We've been talking for a while. This person seems to be a great expert on the subject. Let's have him speak. And this has happened to me before, where someone else who I know will get the speaking gig part, and the event organizer will be like, can you recommend anyone who can also help out? And that's when the person recommends me, and I do the same thing where I'll recommend people based on the gig that it is. So getting a strong relationship with speakers can help you greatly later down the road in terms of you landing more public speaking gigs. The sixth way to get more public speaking gigs, and I think this one would be actually really funny, and you could definitely, if you do this right, make some revenue from it also, is to host your own event. No one is stopping you from hosting your own event. So if you figure out how to host an event, if you figure out how to cover all those costs, if you're able to bring in the speakers, get enough attendees so that you break even or make a profit, and you come in as one of the speakers, well, you spoke at that event. You can use that as video reel. You can use that for credibility purposes. So hosting your own events and speaking at them and getting other speakers as well is a great way to get more speaking gigs, and also get that type of exposure where now people who are organizing events elsewhere are going to see your success and contact you and say, hey, come on over, I got a speaking gig for you. The seventh way to get more speaking gigs is to go for the low-hanging fruit. And this is something that a lot of people, they don't look at this route in the beginning. The route that most public speakers take is they're like, oh, I want to speak in front of people. And then they look at the biggest event possible, the one that's got like 10,000 people, like 10 different rooms filled with attendees. So they're thinking about like speaking at those events. But the issue is, if you have no experience at public speaking, even if you have the knowledge, people want to see that you've done enough public speaking so that they realize that these 10,000 attendees are going to get their money's worth when they see you present. So you want to go for the low-hanging fruit first, because that's going to help you build connections. That's going to help you get more speaking gigs and help you out with your video role. And what I mean by low-hanging fruit is I'm talking about the events that they're not the ones that everyone knows about. They're not the ones that are getting thousands of attendees or hundreds. Maybe some of these events are getting a few dozen. Maybe some of these other events, they're barely getting to 100. I mean, depending on your niche, I get that for some events based on the niche, like 100 is a big crowd, but for others, 100 is a really small crowd. So start going for those events where you may not get as many people, but in the same token, it's easier for you to land that speaking gig. So go for those low-hanging fruits first. Use those to build your credibility as a speaker, and then that's gonna help you get the big ticket speaking events later on. The eighth way to get more speaking gigs, I've been talking about this a lot, is boost your credibility, and not just as a speaker. Doing that just simply means having a speaker video role, speaking at a bunch of different events, getting great testimonials, all that stuff. But boosting your credibility within your niche not just as a speaker. So like writing a book, for instance, is a really great way to boost your credibility. Writing a book is a way of saying you know so much about your topic that you are able to take everything in here and put it into a book that people can read and learn from. Creating training courses also does very well. Having a product will help you with the credibility, but also writing valuable content, creating valuable videos. So all that stuff, all of the work that you do helps out. It's going to help you with gaining credibility. People like to reward the people who are putting in a crazy amount of effort in the niche or the passion that they are pursuing. So definitely boost your credibility, not just as a speaker, but as you in the niche, and just put in as much effort as possible. But this isn't just about boosting credibility, it's also about your main mission, which for me is elevating the lives of others, providing epic value, stuff like that. So you want to have it aligned with your mission, but it conveniently boosts your credibility as well. The 9th way to get more speaking gigs is to ask for referrals, and this helps you as you have more speaking gigs. So after you do a presentation, the person said, wow, you did a great job. Thank you for stopping by. It was a pleasure to have you as a speaker. At that point, a few days later, you can follow up and say, I was really happy to speak at your event. I was just wondering if you knew any other event organizers who I could get in contact with and then possibly speak at their event. So maybe these people know, maybe they don't know, but always ask in a kind way where it's up to them. You're not saying, do this for me. You're saying, if you want, I really appreciate it if you could provide me with other event organizers who are related to my niche. So basically, you're giving them the choice, and that's going to result in more people likely to say, okay, these are some event organizers, and any event organizer you get, that's someone who you can contact and say, I'd love to speak at your event. I recently spoke at the other event, so please let me know if you're interested in having me as a speaker. Never underestimate your own network. It does not matter how big it is. There's always going to be people in it who can give you opportunities. What I've learned time and time again, you never really know who is reading your content, who is watching your videos, because someday one of these readers, one of these video watchers is going to leave a comment, and it's going to be, hey, I'm organizing an event. I would love to have you as a speaker, or some other opportunity just like that. You never really know who within your audience can give you an opportunity. So don't be afraid to ask for referrals in any moment that you have. The 10th way to get more public speaking gigs is to consider online summits. Online summits are starting to become this next really cool thing where you get a bunch of speakers together from all around the world. Travel is free, obviously, because it's online. It costs little to nothing to attend the first time. And then if you want lifetime access to all of the presentations, then yeah, that costs money. So the online summit is a place where you could potentially speak at if you find the right online summit, and then that's another event that you are able to speak at. And these things happen live usually. Sometimes they're recorded, sometimes they're live, but it's you talking about your topic for a very long period of time, similar to if you had a public speaking simulation and you were able to provide your value. And this is a great test for anyone who's considering to become a public speaker offline. So what event organizers do sometimes is they'll look at how you've spoken in the past. So they'll look at online summits that you have spoken at, they'll look at the video recordings, and they'll use the determination of how well you speak in those to make the decision as to whether you are going to be the public speaker for their event or not. You could also host your own online summit. That's easier for actually getting into online summits because you have to find the right online summit for you, similar to the call for speakers, as I mentioned earlier. If you could do that, that's great. It's also great to host your own online summit as well. And the 11th way to get more speaking gigs is to host a webinar. So this is an even easier thing than hosting an online summit because all you need is you. And the key thing about webinars is that usually they go for 45 minutes to an hour depending on the webinar. But the key thing is it's going live. There's no, like you could cut out in a video and like, let's say you mess up the line in the video, you could cut out, you could splice properly and it looks like you didn't mess up. In a webinar, it's live, and event organizers know this because we've all had the experience of watching a webinar. The person is speaking live, so if the person messes up, we all know that the person messed up. So you gotta have a lot of courage to host that webinar. Practice a lot with video first, then host the webinar, and that's going to let event organizers know that you could actually do the talk for 45 minutes to an hour or whatever they want you to speak for, however long. And they're going to realize that you could do this confidently, you are not going to mess up, and you are going to provide genuine value. So the 12th way to get more gigs, I was leading into this already, is to do more video. Get on YouTube just like this, doing video, you talking directly to camera. That's going to help you get more experience, and you never know who is going to be watching your YouTube videos. I actually got an opportunity at a speaking event just from YouTube. Someone commented on one of my YouTube videos, thought it would be great for me to speak at their event, and that's how the connection was started. It was started through YouTube. So again, you never know who your viewers are. You know the targeted audience details, you have a general idea of what the customer avatar is, but you never actually know the individuals who are watching the video. So as far as I know, Taylor Swift could be watching this. That would be pretty awesome. But anyway, you never really know the individuals watching and what opportunities they have to offer. So always perform at your best constantly, as if there's that one person watching who can give you the opportunity of a lifetime. The 13th way to get more speaking gigs is to do live video. So this is an advanced version of doing video, very similar to hosting a webinar. You do a live video on Facebook or Periscope, and basically you can't mess up on it, as like people will notice it. But more importantly, the difference between like, well, I guess webinars have this option too. Yeah, they do. But like there's a Q&A portion of a Periscope where like people actually ask you questions in real time, while in the webinar you could say, okay, this is when you get to post your questions. So you get these questions coming at you in real time, and you also get interaction in real time. So that's like at the speaking event, if there's that like one person who's like coughing or causing a ruckus, you have to be able to still hold strong and finish that speech as if that person is not coughing or doing anything else that could possibly be distracting you. So to see all those notifications coming through Periscope all the way up to like the top of the screen, to have all the people commenting on a Facebook live video or a YouTube live video, that's going to be a very similar atmosphere to when you actually present at the public speaking event. The only difference is you'll be able to hear instead of like seeing with your eyes like what people are saying. But in my opinion, I've done both, so I actually find it a little harder to like see what everyone is saying, especially if you get like so many people commenting at once. So if you have a lot of experience with doing live video, it's going to be much easier for you to deliver a great speech, and that's going to help you get more public speaking gigs, because it can multiply based on you getting enough gigs and enough people liking you and then telling their friends about you. The 14th way to get more speaking gigs is to publish the slides you will use for your presentation. So what happens is at a speaking event, some people will end their presentation and say, if you want the slides, provide me with your email address or a business card. That's like the classic way that they do it. But what you could do for the event organizer is you can make it readily accessible to them. So you just put your slides on SlideShare and you say, this is my presentation, so that they know exactly what they're going to get from you at the very beginning of the pitch. They know what you are going to deliver and specifically how you are going to deliver. So if you have those slides ready, they'll know what to expect from you, they'll feel better about their choice, and then they'll end up picking you. And the cool thing is, if you put these on SlideShare, you can actually get more views for these particular slide decks. And if you get enough views, then SlideShare is going to kick in and promote it. So event organizers who wouldn't have seen it suddenly get to see it, and you get in front of more people anyway. So posting your speaking presentations on something like SlideShare helps you get more, helps you grow your audience, while at the same time you are getting more speaking gigs. And finally, the 15th way to get more speaking gigs. I know, like, it seems like everyone uses something like this method, but be consistent, be persistent as well, because what's going to happen is you may send that first pitch, you're on the high, you're excited, you are ready to get these gigs, but then it takes a few days to get the results back, and then you get your first no. And what happens is people think, oh, I quit, this isn't working for me. Like, they go from like, I want to get all the public speaking gigs in the world, to that first no, and they're like, don't do that. What you have to do is you gotta like fight through the no's. There are going to be people who say no, but you have to keep sending pitches. If this is something that you really want to pursue, you are really passionate about, going for those low-hanging fruits will definitely help you get more yeses in the beginning, and that'll help you get more credibility and get the bigger ones later. But don't let a few people saying no to you take you away from what you were passionate about or make you question your knowledge. Don't let anything like that happen. You gotta be consistently applying these methods, and you gotta be persistent when push comes to shove. When push comes to shove, you gotta fight through and respond by just like continuing, not letting any setback hold you back from your dream of getting more public speaking gigs. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel so you get more videos just like this. Also, please leave a like if you enjoyed it, because I like to look at the engagement in my videos to see what you all want more of and then just provide it to you. And finally, if you have a question, please leave it in the comments. I make it a point to answer your questions in YouTube videos and reply to your comments. So signing off, what I want you to do is to dream big, achieve greatness, and unlock your potential today.